All right, well, hello and welcome to Transform Tuesday. My name is Dave McCormick. I'm VP of Product Management here at Alpha Software, and I'm pleased to be joined today by Sarah Mitchell, who's in charge of our documentation. Sarah, can you let me know whether or not you can hear me and or see my screen? You can either type that in or just, are you there?
I am here and I can hear you and see your screen.
Excellent, thanks very much. Just want to make sure everything is going okay. My first Transform Tuesday, I did the first 15 minutes without anyone being able to see me or hear me. I felt like quite a fool, as you can imagine, but so I have to check every single time. Anyway, hello and welcome. Today we are going to be talking, of course, about Alpha Transform, but we're going to take a step back and start showing a simpler example again, just sort of the start to finish of how you build a Transform application, because we have new people joining us today who are new to Transform. For the rest of you diehards who have been with us for the last, I don't know, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, or even longer, I think now, I have a demonstration, very short one though, on how to use the webhook that's built into Alpha Transform to do something once a form has been submitted. Now, I've shown that to you with Zapier before, but this is a little bit further down into the weeds where you can actually get Transform itself without Zapier to make a direct call to a webhook. It could also send out email with data in that as well. And I'm going to show you how that all works. So let's get started. So to begin, first of all, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but our website has gone through some changes and there are a lot more on the way. But right now, if you take a look in the platform section of Alpha Software, you'll now see that there is now its own first-class citizen here. Alpha Transform is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on not that one, but Sample Apps. And I'm going to bring you to this sample applications page. And here it just shows you some of the applications that are built in as templates into Alpha Anywhere. And before I go much further, I'm going to show you how to get to those templates. And then we're going to talk about one in particular. So let's pop over to Alpha Transform. So these are the pre-built templates. And here we say, okay, if you want to go ahead and contact Alpha to get this app. But as Transform users and as people showing up to today's webinar, you don't actually have to contact Alpha. I'll show you exactly how to do it. Here we are in Alpha Transform Central, which is transform.alphasoftware.com. And when I go to, as you're familiar, there are 4 tabs up at the top. The Home tab is for doing administrative type things, such as assigning users, changing your password, getting your API key, and more. The Designer tab is where you build out your forms. And this is, in fact, where we choose the templates. I think that kind of makes sense. So by going over to the Designer tab, I just hit click plus to create a new form type. And I'm going to say select template. So that's really all there is to it. Designer tab, plus icon, select template. And when you get in there, it will show you a list of the templates that are available. We have appliance service. That one was just added today, as a matter of fact. That's kind of a cool one. You might want to take a look at that. We have the car mileage, general sample, home inspection. This is a great one because it's a nice long one. It shows you how you can navigate hundreds of fields easily, even on a mobile form. We have the medical intake form, which is cool because I believe this one uses stopwatches and things like that. Actually, it's visiting nurse chart is the one that uses stopwatches, so that's a good one to do. There's solar installation, there's travel expense report, which you may actually find useful for your own reasons. And then there's pump jack inspection. For those of you who are familiar with our Pump Jack Pro inspection application that we did in Alpha Anywhere, we built a very similar one here in Alpha Transform. But back here on this page, let me find that page, sample applications. The first one here, the safety inspection application, was about to refer a customer to, and they said, where do I find this template? And I realized we had not yet put that one in. In fact, if you find anything missing or you'd like us to add something, by all means, let us know. You could just send an email to tfservice, as in transform service, at alphasoftware.com. But today we're going to take care of the problem of the missing safety inspection app because we're going to build this one from scratch today. And let's get started. So the safety inspection application, we're actually going to do a video on this. You're looking at my script here. It's going to be turned into a video. So let me just read it straight out. Imagine that the users of your applications are technicians out in the field with smartphones, and their job is to visit server rooms and network operations centers. And during their visits, they want to make sure that the equipment is working and that the buildings themselves are safe and secure. So what they want to do is they want to collect information about both the equipment and the site where the equipment is located. So here are some fields. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Looks like there's 20 something fields here that we want to collect. And let's go ahead and build an application using those fields. So I'm heading back to Transform Central, and I'm going to create a new blank application. We'll call it Equipment Inspection, and we'll just call this 11, because I think I've built a few of these before. Oops. Equipment Inspection. Actually, we'll call it TT for Transform Tuesday. And I'll give it a form ID of EQ Inspection. This is really just for my own use, so I don't forget it later. And now that I've built that, I'm going to click Input Quick Start Text. And this is where Transform is a little different than other forms type and development type products, because what we're using here, instead of drag and drop, we're just using this big blank text area like a word processor. And into that word processor, we're going to paste in the fields that we want to collect. We could have also just typed them into this box here as well. So as I paste them in here, if I move, let me just move this out of my way. If I go ahead and take a look at my simple preview and I click this little recycle button or this refresh button, it shows me all of my fields in a simple preview. And at this point, I could just save this and it would work on my phone. But it wouldn't be super convenient or practical because there are a few refinements that we're going to want to make. The first thing is for the GPS location, we don't want you to have to type in your own latitude or longitude. That would be very silly, especially since the phone has got that capability in it. So I'm just going to move my cursor here to GPS location, and you'll see it's highlighted here in Quick Start Text. And I'm just going to click the magic wand next to location, and that's turned it into a location field. You'll notice here it says :location. And if you're wondering, could you simply type :location and have it turn into a field? Yeah, you sure can, no problem at all. For picture of facility, we're going to make that a picture field. So I'm going to go down here to photo. And are there at least 2 exits? That should be a yes or no type of question. So I'm going to click that. Are they clearly marked? Again, yes or no. How many smoke alarms? Well, this is a number. So let's make sure that you enter a number in there. Do they all work? Again, we are with the yes or no's. How many fire extinguishers? Again, this is a number. Are the doors of the facility locked? Yes or no. Do all the doors have smoke alarms, or all the do all the emergency doors have alarms? Yes. Is there CCTV? Yes or no. Where does it monitor? We'll just leave that as a drop down. Are the windows secure? We'll say yes. And is there a drop ceiling? Yes or no. Do the security walls extend beyond the drop ceiling? I pulled this from a standard form, as you can imagine. I didn't just make these up. For the equipment serial number, let's imagine that you have gone through the trouble of either QR coding or barcoding the equipment at your sites. It's probably a good way to do it. So I'm going to make that a scanner field right here by clicking on scanner. Whether or not the equipment is operational, just yes or no for that. Notes is fine as a text field. Photo, again, is going to be a photo field. This time it's a picture not of the site, but of the equipment, and then a signature. And there we are all set. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And again, I could just send this right up here to my phone by click to save changes, but I'm going to instead make it do a few more refinements to it. So now here I am in the list of forms that I've created, and I'm going to double click on equipment inspection, the one I just made. And here are all the fields. They're listed in a different view. We're no longer in the quick import text view. We are now in the regular field properties view. And it shows you all the fields that we had created before. Now let's go down to the fields that we are using for inspecting equipment. Right now, we have just one piece of equipment, one set of fields for the equipment, and that is the serial number, and whether or not it's working, notes, and photo. So here are those, 4 fields that we have. But notice we only have them once, which means that I can only collect information about one piece of equipment. Obviously, that's quite limiting. We want to be able to collect information for as much or for as many or as few pieces of equipment as we want. So to do that, I'm going to create a data group. And to do that, I'm going to select all of the fields here, serial number field, whether or not it's working, the notes field, and so on. And by highlighting them, just using Shift and clicking the way you highlight, I'm going to go here and I'm going to add a new command. And I'm going to say that this is going to be a data group. And I'm going to click this little enclose button right here. So now what I've done is I have taken all of those fields and I've told the system I might want to collect these fields over and over again for a particular record. So when I put that in, I have some properties and stuff that I can set up, and it gives me a button as to what would appear on the message. Would you like to add a new item to group 1? That's a very technical message, and probably your users won't know what that means. So we're going to change that to say, add new equipment inspection. And for the delete message, I'm going to say delete this inspection. All right. So that's good. But now let's make it even more refinements. Let's start taking some of these questions here and let's break them up onto their own pages. So these all kind of belong together, the site name, where it's located, and a photo. But if we take a look at this one, are there at least 2 exits? Are they marked? Do they have smoke alarms? Do they work? Are there fire extinguishers? These all have to do with safety. So I'm going to put them on their own page called safety. So I've selected the fields again by clicking and holding down the Shift key. And again, I'm going to hit plus to insert a command. But we're not doing a data group this time, and this time we're doing a page. So we're going to say page start, and we're going to call this page security. And we're going to give the security page its own color so that we can color code them and keep them separate from other pages. I'm going to make mine red. So you see, as soon as I typed in red, that changed the image here to red. I can use, of course, HTML colors, hex colors, £, whatever. So you have access to millions of colors that way. You can make it exactly the way you want it. I'm just using simple red. So now let's take some more fields and put them on their own page. Here we are. Are all the doors to the facility locked? Do the emergency doors have alarms? Is there is there a closed circuit TV? Are the windows secure? And all these look like secure. Actually, these would probably also be security questions. The first one I should have called safety questions. I'll fix that in a second. So I'm going to click plus again, and I'm going to choose a page, page, and I'm going to enclose it. And this one I'm going to call security. I'm going to make this one blue. And now over here, this one I'm just going to call safety. Cool. All right, so I think we're all set. We have the fields for the site itself, including its location and a picture. There's a separate page for collecting safety information. There's a separate one for collecting security information. And heck, let's put another page just for the equipment information. This is the one that we created the data group for. So I'm going to go here to item group 1, and I'm going to select all of the things here in this item group, in this data group, and I'm going to put this into its own page. So let's grab page, here it is, close, and I'm going to call this inspection, if I can spell. Now let's make this one green. Okay. So now let's take a look again. Site name, all that stuff looks good. There's safety, there's security, there's inspection, there's the signature, that's all there, great. So I'm going to go ahead and save these commands. I'm going to now click to save changes, this little orange icon here. And if I did it right, yep, no errors. And everything is all set. So now that's ready for me to look at on my phone. So let me just open up my phone, see what's going on. I'm going to try to turn on screen mirroring, which sometimes takes a second, especially if I don't have Air Server turned on. Let me turn on Air Server. Air Server. This is a great little program if you need to transmit your phone to your computer. It's available on, I believe, both on PC and on Mac. I'm going to do that, and it just lets you show what's on your screen. It's great if you're doing Skype calls and you want to show off something on your phone that you've designed. It's highly recommended. So here we are. Let me grab Transform, which is right here. And I've already logged into Transform, so I'm just going to say I'm going to add a new form, and I'm going to refresh the form definitions. And it says the latest definitions were downloaded. So here's my equipment inspection TT. That's the one we just built for Transform Tuesday. And here's my stuff all ready to be filled in. So we'll call this one HQ for headquarters. We'll move to the next field, which is contact name. I'll put in Dave. The next one, street address, we'll say 123 Main Street. City is Burlington, or let's say Boston, because it's shorter to type. State, Massachusetts. Zip code 02134. And then I can use the phone's GPS location to grab that. And here it's now asking me for a photo of the site. I don't know, here's a picture of the inside of my office. Take a picture of that. We'll use that photo. Okay, and what we've got filled out so far is the name and the address and a picture of the facility. And now you'll see I've got my 3 pages that we created here. So I'm going to go under the safety one, and I'm going to say, are there 2 exits? Yes. Yes. How many smoke alarms? There are 5. Do they work? They do. How many fire extinguishers? There are 5 of those as well. We'll go back. And then security, we'll just fill in the data here. And now inspection. Now keep in mind, this was our data group one. So when I get here, I don't see any fields. Instead, I see a plus button for adding information about a particular piece of equipment. So I'm going to click that, add that, and now I'm going to tap to scan a serial number. So I'm going to click scan, and we'll pretend this is my piece of equipment. In fact, it is a box of Dunkin' Donuts coffee. So I'm going to click scan. And now, okay, that's all done. Oops, cancel. Next, is the equipment operational? Yes. Any notes? No, thank you. Now, if I wanted to, oh, and I can take a picture of the equipment. So let's just say I'm taking a picture of this mixer here. That's my equipment. So here I've got whether or not it's operational. I've got its barcode number. I could have put in notes, and there's a photo. And now you'll notice I've got 2 other options. I'm going to use my mouse here to point those out. The first one is delete this inspection. If you remember, that's what we typed into one of those things. And I could delete this record if I put it in by mistake. Or I can add another piece of equipment. I'm not going to do that. I think you guys have got the point at this point. So that's all good. And then lastly is the signature. So for signature, whoops, I forgot to actually mark that as a signature field. My bad. We'll fix that. And I'm going to upload this to the server. And it's done. Now I can go and take a look at, I'm going to move this off to the side. Actually, I'm going to stop mirroring it just for a moment. This way. I think it's like this. Okay, mirror, mirror. Where is the mirror? There it is. Mirror, stop. Great. All right, so I'm going to go into Management Console because we've just submitted that form data. At least I think we did. And I am going to take a look at see our form, which is there, the equipment inspection TT. And there it is at 1:16 p.m. There's the site name, there's the GPS location, there's all the information, and here are our item groups. I only had one item in this item group, and that was the mixer. But it's all there. So that is the start to finish version of this application. The only mistake that we made when building it, or rather I made, is I should have made that last one, that last signature, an actual signature field, but it's not too late to fix that. I can go here to my list of forms here in the designer. I'm going to double click on equipment inspection. I'm going to scroll down to the field that I want to change, the signature field. And then I just have to change the command type. I'm sorry, I just have to change the field type. And you'll see here is one of the ones right here is signature. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. And now that I've saved my commands and I've uploaded it, the next time I refresh my phone, this will turn into a real signature field, and I'll be able to sign it from now on into different, I'll be able to sign, whenever I submit a new record, I will be able to sign that new record. All right, so that was the, that was that in a nutshell. I think I've covered everything I want to cover. I do when it comes to that sample application. And we're going to add this sample application into the store once I make a few more refinements to it. And you'll be able to find that here in the, again, you'll find that where you go to select a new template once you create a new form design. So that's where you get the samples. Excellent. Let's see if there are any questions. Someone asked, where are the other samples? Okay, so again, the samples here should be there. They mostly match the names that you will see on our transform page, which you can get to by going from Alpha Software's main site by going from platform to transform learning to transform sample apps. You'll find them here. And we just built safety inspection together. Home inspection is already there. Service dispatch is simply called appliance app. We're going to change the name here so that they match. And the rest of them should be there. If there's one that's missing, just let us know. tfservice@alphasoftware.com. If there's one you'd like us to build, which you think would be a good sample for you, again, send an email to tfservice@alphasoftware.com. We'd be happy to put that up for you. Okay, so that was the beginners portion. However, for those of you who know a little bit more about Transform, or have seen some of our prior demonstrations, I'm going to show you something a little bit more advanced. And what I'm going to show you is the on submit event. And here we are back on the home tab of Alpha Transform. And in prior sessions, I had shown you how to get an API key and how to limit that API key so that it only has the permissions that you want to give a particular application. We've used that API key with Alpha Anywhere when we were doing reports a couple weeks ago. We've also used it with Zapier when we were showing Zapier integration. Likewise, you can revoke an API key if you decide you no longer need it. For safety reasons, you really should remove API keys that are not being used. But today under developers options, I'm going to show you the on submit event. So the on submit event, when it first opens, looks like this. And in fact, this box here is blank. I filled that out earlier. And what it does, in fact, just to read it, is that it allows you to specify a series of actions that it should occur when data are submitted from a transform form. Now, it is a series. In fact, you can put in an array of things for it to do. And right now, there are only two kinds of things that you can do on an on submit action. And I'm going to click this help button here and show you what those are. You can either send an email or I should say, or you can post data. Now the post data, the post data action right now is limited. It doesn't allow for you to put in your own custom headers, so that's going to be added. And it doesn't allow for either a web token or a web API key, which you'll need with many systems. But for right now, it's actually perfectly good for testing out, especially if you're building applications against Alpha Anywhere or really any other system. We will soon have the ability to add an authorization key, and we'll have the ability to add headers. So for those of you who are familiar with APIs, maybe who've attended to the Wednesday webinars with Dion and myself, we've gone over in quite a lot of detail how this data is exchanged back and forth using APIs. Instead, what I'm going to show you, though, for onSubmit is the email command. It's really simple, and it's built right in. And all you really need to do is copy this syntax right here. What I found, though, just and we'll probably correct this by the time you're watching this on video, is you can't actually, we don't let you select this text, which is super annoying because you kind of want to just paste it here in this window. So instead what I did was I just said inspect text, or you could also just do a show page source, and you'd be able to copy this out. But basically it's standard JSON, and it's an array, so it starts with a bracket, and each item in the array is enclosed in curly braces. And within the curly braces, we have 4 things that we set. The first is the action, which is called send email. The other action we could have chosen would be post data. There's a send to field where I put in my email address, and a subject. You can use any subject you like, and then send format HTML that makes an HTML representation of the data that you have collected, and we'll send it off to you by email. So now here's 2 cool things. So let me show you what that looks like. First of all, I actually did one before, so that when I submitted a record, I would get an email notification, and it looks just like this. It's kind of plain. It showed me, so this is the email that I got, I guess about 10 minutes before I started today's session, and it showed the account ID and when it was created and comments and person. I didn't put in a lot of data. I think the only thing I typed in was, oh, here it is, just random stuff on my keyboard, but it would have other things in here, including if you had images would be in there, I believe signatures would be in there, anything you want would be in there. So you can do that using the on submit webhook. Now, one other kind of cool thing for those of you who don't know this is that if you send an email, if you've got, and these are just for US carriers, but you can do it with international carriers, you'll have to look them up yourself. But if you have a particular phone that you want to send a text message to, pretty much every major carrier has got an email address, a custom email address you can send to, and it will turn that into an SMS for you. So if every time a form was submitted, I wanted to get an SMS notification, all I would do is instead of, and I happen to be on AT&T, so what I would do is I'd put in my phone number, and I'd say at text.att.net, and then back here where I'm defining the submit action, I would put that right there in the send to. By the way, I can comma separate send tos. You put them inside the quotation marks. So if you want to send it to 2 or 3 different addresses, you absolutely can do that. When you start getting into more detail, you might want to look at Zapier. It just might be easier for you. But this is actually just a quick, easy way of defining an on submit action. And like I said, there's also a post action, and that will be getting more sophisticated as time goes on. So that is that. I was wondering if there are any questions people have on submit, or any suggestions for something maybe you'd like me to cover in upcoming weeks. I'll give you a minute or so to type those in, and then it will be time. All right, I'll give you like another 10 seconds. Nothing? Okay, great. Well, thanks very much, everyone, for attending today. I hope you found this session useful. If you need a link to where you can find the recorded sessions, just send an email to tfservice@alphasoftware.com. Really, for anything Transformer related, go ahead and send an email there. Thanks again for attending. We hope to see you next Tuesday at our next Transform Tuesday. Take care and goodbye.